Need a Valentine's Day gift? Well, flowers die, chocolate melts. As for jewelry, the good stuff is too pricey and the cheap stuff doesn't last. A movie poster from justmovieposters.com is forever, or pretty darn close. Most items found at justmovieposters.com are between $7 to $15. Shipping extra. Go to justmovieposters.com to find a movie poster for the one you love today.
It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From big TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey guys, what is going on? Lee Sanders back with you all for a new edition of the RCWR show for this Monday night of February 9th, 2026. How the hell y'all been? Had to fiddle around here a little bit because I am still getting new to things with my current semester of classes, and now I'm finding that I'm taking my laptop, this laptop that I'm using right now, which is my MacBook that I use. I'm finding that I now have to take this to classes at least twice a week, one for my computer coding class and the other one for my news videography class. So forgive me if for the next couple of weeks you're going to be seeing me kind of fiddle around a little bit with the webcam and all that. Hey, what did you guys think about tonight's WWE Raw from Cleveland, Ohio? Sound off a little bit that I'm live, for the next little bit. You can post a comment below. We also got an interactive poll up on Twitter/X at the RCWR show, and you guys can sound off that way. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I am coming back, I believe Saturday. Me and Tam sat down. No, was it Saturday or was it Sunday that me and Tams did Wrestling with the Topics? I feel as though we did that show on Saturday. Yeah, we did a Wrestling with the Topics on Saturday. Normally we do that show on Sundays. But why does it feel like the show was actually done on Sunday? That's like really, really weird. All I know, we did a show on the weekend and we had put that out there. And so, yeah, I'm kind of coming back shortly after doing that show. So nice little short turnaround. Hopefully the weekend was most kind to you guys. I can't complain at my end. The biggest bullet that I've been able to dodge, because I just literally about an hour ago had got some fantastic news, which is I was hoping that I would have my tuition be covered for the spring semester because I filled out the paperwork months back, but a couple of weeks ago, I got an email letting me know, hey, there's an issue or two. You might want to log into the portal, check this out, and make necessary corrections if corrections need to be made. And so I corrected it and I was going, oh man, I wonder how long this is going to take. Hopefully this doesn't put me in a position where I'm going to be facing some type of restrictions as far as trying to set myself up for future classes. But luckily, I was tripping for really no apparent reason. It was able to work itself out in the end. So the most important good news I can get to kick off this new week that I'm happy to share with you guys. As far as spring 2026 tuition goes, your man don't owe diddly squat. I love that music to my ears. Was a little bit late coming on the air because I actually had spent a little bit of time catching up with the wifey as she had came in from work. And I was also finishing up my taxes. I cannot stress it enough. Guys, gals, soon as you get your W-2s, whatever it is, you get that paperwork, do it already. Don't be pussyfooting around, wait until the last minute and all that. The IRS, they always come and they always come correct. They're going to get you one way or another. So you might as well just dedicate the time to sit down, do what you need to do. Oof, I did what I did. I don't owe nothing. I don't owe nothing. So I'm batting 2 for 2 right now this week. I am loving it, man. I am loving it. So, hey, we got some big news in regards to the status of Bron Breakker. Cue up my favorite Hall & Oates song, Say It Isn't So. I couldn't believe when I heard the news. When I heard the news today. Thinking about that Michael Bolton song. Don't pay me no mind. We'll talk about that and the very latest in some headlines, kind of brief, a little bit of stuff that's been going on. I know in regards to the injury, circling back to Bron Breakker, I was talking to a friend of mine. I'm not going to say who, but it's a friend of mine that actually plays college basketball. And I think he's going to do pretty damn good if he sticks to it and finds himself trying to go to the big leagues and all that. But I was talking to him about what was going on with Bron Breakker potentially, and that had led to a very interesting conversation where I was able to sit down and through him, I was able to speak to uh, their I won't say team doctor, but it was a doctor. It is somebody that knows a thing or two about sports medicine, injuries, and all of that. And they gave me some really cool, insightful information that I'm happy to share with regards to Bron Breakker and his status and all that, which may make a lot of you guys go, well, it's good to be optimistically. Exactly. So, Raw tonight in Cleveland. Some interesting developments here and there. We got the debut of Nattie coming out to her bootleg version of Rage Against the Machine music. But what we've been seeing on the independents, the kick-ass MMA Nattie, that's exactly what we got here tonight as she fought Maxine Dupri, just beating the holy hell out of her, taking the action outside of the ring, was getting her in the sharpshooter over on the announcer's table. Meanwhile, in the background, referees counting her and Maxine down. Referee had no choice but to throw the match out as the girls were not able to get back into the ring in time. I like the way that this essentially had played out as Nattie continued to just show no mercy to Dupri, which forced the beautiful and the lovely AJ Lee, who we had saw earlier in the night, more on that in just a hot second, come out to the rescue of Dupri, because that's her girl and everything. That's her buddy. That's her bestie. Nattie breaking the hold and pretty much disappearing shortly after that. AJ trying to check in on Dupri, helping her up the stage ramp, trying to take her backstage when wham, AJ would get attacked from behind by Becky Lynch. This essentially following up from what went down with her and Becky earlier in the night, where Becky having a bit of a temper tantrum, finding out that AJ Lee was going to be in the house tonight for this Raw in Cleveland. And this pretty much had prompted AJ to come out. Becky kind of feeling she knows exactly what AJ Lee wants and wants to give it to her, which is a match. She's kind of under the impression if she gives AJ a match, then maybe, just maybe, that will make AJ disappear shortly afterwards. Can just be rid of her once and for all. AJ's going, well, I don't want to just face you, because what good is that? Like, okay, we have a one-on-one match. Well, first of all, haven't had a one-on-one match in like 10 years. So if I'm going to do this, there's got to be something to really sweeten the pot. What's the extra kitty here to do this? What's the motivation here? She doesn't want to just walk out of beating Becky Lynch and essentially laying claim to the fact that she could be a number one contender for Becky's Women's Intercontinental Championship. She wants a little bit more than that. So Becky went on ahead reluctantly and sweetened the pot, letting her know, okay, look, we're going to do this. Then it's going to be for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So we're going to be seeing those girls fight at Elimination Chamber. That's where this match is going to be going down. I repeat, it'll be going down at Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber is shaping up to be a pretty solid card right now, all things considered, because we know that at Chamber, not only are those two girls going to be fighting one another, but let's not also forget big development. We got CM Punk and Finn Balor that's been announced for the Chamber. You're going, wow. I mean, there's really, I gotta say, when it's come to previous Elimination Chambers over the years, it's kind of, I can't speak for you guys, but for me personally, I've just gone, man, if we could just get rid of this and honestly just be all about the road to WrestleMania, really build these story arcs and all that, that would just be magnifique. But grand total right now, we got 4 matches that's been announced for Elimination Chamber, which, as many of you guys know, is going to be happening at the end of the month. So I love the fact that these past 2 weeks now, WWE programming has been really building towards Elimination Chamber and the high stakes, high reward setting that they've put, where, look, it's that final pit stop going into WrestleMania where any and everything can and will happen. Great work that we're doing here with all of this. So Becky Lynch, I gotta say, her promo with AJ Lee, I know Becky has been leaning into the whole, hey, Sports Illustrated said this, and these guys said this, and PWI said this. Like, I get it. That's her whole shtick. But I don't know. There was just something about the promo this week with AJ Lee that just felt a little bit too, what's the right word that I'm looking for? Not fake. But the word I'm looking for is over animated, maybe. It was a little bit too animated for my personal liking. Whereas AJ, and I can tell you this as a longtime AJ Lee fan, AJ isn't exactly known for her promos. I mean, that's kind of one of those, unless you are a diehard AJ fan, it's one of those, okay, name for me 5 AJ Lee promos that was just sizzling hot that you still remember to this very day. I'm not talking about her appearance, I'm talking about her mic skills work. And that's like literally pulling teeth unless you got one of those really good photographic memories and you're like, well, contrary to what you just said, this was actually a good promo. The promo for AJ felt more grounded. And it's interesting because we think about that, one of those first couple of promos that AJ had delivered since coming back to the WWE, and she was just honestly all over the place, likely had the butterflies, happy anxiety. There is such thing as happy anxiety, right? Especially like when you're anticipating something and your anxiety kind of gets the best of you because you're hoping that you don't go out there and you fucking lay an egg and all that, right? So, but it seems like what we got with AJ this week, she was more grounded, really took her time. There was meaning behind everything that she was saying. There was some cadence behind it, some good substance. So I loved AJ's delivery this go round, whereas Becky seemed way too overly animated, just overkill big time. I really wanted for her to dial it back quite a bit and everything, but nonetheless, that match set between those two girls at Elimination chamber. So love how that essentially was intertwined there with Nattie and Maxine, just kind of looking on the horizon a little bit. I love how WWE is laying out their chips in a way where, okay, so not only are we going to get Becky and AJ, and likely we're going to get the two of them. I don't think it's I don't think it's going to just conclude at Chamber. I honestly believe that AJ is going to be walking out of the Chamber as your new women's intercontinental champion. I honestly believe that. And then essentially those girls run it back at WrestleMania. Another scenario that I could see playing out as well is seems like AJ is going to get the job done, but then Natty somehow screws AJ over and Becky retains that way, which ultimately sets up AJ Dupri as a tag team versus Becky and Natty. I could see, and if that's something that WWE is kind of toying around with, that they're going back and forth on, like, have at it. Like, I've always said, for me personally, look, you don't need to have AJ and Becky be fighting over a championship, but it just seems as though that's the direction that WWE wants to go in. But I've gone on record here on this show and I've said, yo, there's enough substance that's there where you can just go there with those two girls. Their names alone pretty much sells it. The history that we've seen thus far up to this point, that sells in itself. Just go on ahead. Just let those girls just do their damn thing. It doesn't have to be about a championship, but WWE's in a very interesting position. I can't wait to see where they're going to go as we're like 9 weeks away now from WrestleMania. Another interesting development, while we're talking about the women, we did have a Elimination Chamber women's qualifier. That match consisted of Rhea Ripley taking on Ivy Now and Lyra Valkyria. 6 minutes and some change. Rhea Ripley going over in this one. Pretty hard hitting action between Ivy and Lyra. I mean, god damn. Ivy now is looking more and more like Beth Phoenix. It's very eerie. It truly is very, very eerie right here. Look, I get why Rhea Ripley was slated for this one here, right? You want to put some serious stock power into the Elimination Chamber, and not to mention star power quality as well and all of that. But I gotta say, I was really, really hoping here that maybe, just maybe, the underdog in Ivy was gonna go over in this one, because at least you could look at Rhea Ripley. Oh well, you don't have to feel too sorry for her. She's got the tag championship. She'll be all right. We know for sure she's gonna be defending that likely at Mania. So it's cool. But because when it's all said and done, we've seen Rhea Ripley in enough positions where her star power, like the status that she currently has amongst the WWE fans, she can't do any wrong because her level, it is just on a completely different level of its own compared to the other women on the roster and everything. And if you're looking at Lyra Valkyria, you're going, man, I'd like to see more momentum be built up here for her, especially since it kind of seems like Lyra and Bailey are a little bit. Yeah, it seems like they're a little bit in, I don't want to say purgatory, but it just kind of seems like they're in limbo for sure right now and everything. So I was going into this one just kind of saying, if anybody, maybe Ivy. Maybe Ivy's going to pull a nice little upset here. But because Ivy, for me personally, not sure about you guys, you could sound off, let me know. But Ivy, for me, has really been putting in the damn work. She's been taking it to another level that at times, and I've even said it here, yo, we're investing in Maxine, but Ivy's really coming along. Maybe we should kind of switch the gears a little bit and kind of focus more on Ivy instead here and everything. But Rhea Ripley, she's advanced to the women's elimination chamber. So if you're keeping track, she now joins Tiffany Stratton, and we're going to see more matches over the course of this week and next week. We'll see how all of that is going to be slating out. So at this point, we're waiting to see who's going to take up the last 4 slots for the women's, and we're also waiting to see who's going to take up those last 4 slots for the men's. As tonight on Raw, we did see in the main event, LA Knight advanced for the men's elimination chamber. He got a victory over Austin. Was it Austin Theory? Yeah, over Austin Theory. And the other guy, who was the third guy? I'm trying to think. The third guy was Penta. I can't believe I almost drew a blank on him. It was Penta. That closed out the show for tonight. Pretty good. I love the fact that WWE is continuing the LA Knight Revenge Tour, more specifically the LA Knight Vision Revenge Tour, right? Trying to extract vengeance on them and everything. I love that. By the way, great video production work by WWE specifically for the B-roll packages that they were using, hyping up some of these chamber matches. I could tell that they were shooting with some 8K quality gadgets that they were using, but particularly for LA Knight, which was pretty badass. It was a nice change of pace. I got to be honest with you. It really, really jumped out at you when you were watching these B-roll footages. And at the same time, it complemented everything that you've been watching with Raw on Netflix up to this point. But just visually, it made you go, "Oh, what's going on here?" I love that it really stood out because it really grabbed your attention and all that. The way that they shot it, which when I say that, understand from like a media production standpoint, it's not like they had these guys outside or were doing something extremely badass. They were just backstage. And I guess it's the littlest things that you do to the background, right? Because what you do with your background really helps a great ton when it comes to setting up your subject, your main subject that's in front of the camera and everything. So, for instance, if I were to just be doing this show right now, and this did happen a long time ago when we first started doing the video webcast versions of these shows, if I'm just doing this show and everything that is behind me is just, it's all blank. Like there's no knickknacks that you guys can look at in the background. It's just bare walls and all that other stuff. It's kind of one of those, okay. But if we add some things around and then we play around with the lighting and to the point that maybe we add a couple of colorful LED background lights to really make the subject, moi, really kind of stand out much more, then, visually we got a lot of cool moving parts that's going on. And it kind of seems like that's definitely what WWE, they normally do this, right? But it just seems like they really took it to another level combined with how they were shooting this B-roll footage. You got to see what I'm talking about. It's good stuff, good stuff. But LA Knight picking up the win there. I thought for sure that Penta was going to be going over here in this one. I thought for sure it was going to be Penta, but no, they went with LA Knight. And the numbers game, ooh, man, the numbers game. It was definitely in Austin Theory's favor. And it's the little things that we forget too. How soon we forget that Austin Theory did win a Money in the Bank. And it's like, oh yeah, so he has shown that he can make lightning strike. Okay, well, all right, since he's going to be doing this chamber match, maybe, just maybe Austin Theory can do a little something here, right? But we saw Logan Paul and Bronson Reed come on out there. LA Knight laying those guys out. We saw a maxed man yet again arrive, super kicked and stomped the hell out of Theory while the referee was distracted. Logan ended up chasing him all throughout the crowd. Austin Theory was tossed by the maxed individual back into the ring before Logan Paul went chasing after him. Knight struggling to come to his feet, but manages to hit Theory with the BFT, blunt force trauma. Yeah, picking up the 3 count that way. And keep in mind all of this drama that was going on here in this matchup leading up to it. Adam Pearce crossed paths with Paul Heyman, and Heyman's like, "Yo, I can't believe just everything that you've been doing. Like, I underestimated you. Like, seriously, your tactics, what you do to get the results that you need to get. I underestimated you. I won't do that again." And Adam Pearce is like, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, seriously." He's like, "Well, you know what's going on with Bron Breakker and his injury and how he's now out indefinitely." And Pierce is like, "Yeah, I've got that information. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're not telling me anything new." And Pierce just pretty much cut through the fat and let Paul Heyman know Austin Theory was going to be involved in this Elimination Chamber qualifier. But he also had strong words for Heyman, which was make sure he wasn't at ringside interfering in the matchup, make sure that Logan Paul, Bronson Reed was not involved as well. To which Logan goes, "And what if we do decide we want to interfere? What are you going to do? You ain't going to do a damn thing." To which Reed says, "Don't worry about him. He's now in my view." So it's like, Bronson Reed gonna, that's not good. Oh, I could just see a couple of tsunamis coming in the near future there for Adam Pearce, man. That is not going to be looking good whatsoever. But main event match, some really solid action. Definitely, you could tell that the fans were really into this one. There's no denying it. There's no denying it that the fans love them some LA Knight. Definitely we're feeding right into the palm of that guy's hands tonight and everything. For me, I think they got it right. Of all the people that could have won this Elimination Chamber joint, I think they got it right with having Knight go in there. Now, whether or not Knight can be the one to win the whole shebang, that remains to be seen. But for him to pretty much get in there, I like that. Nice little touch when it's said and done. See some other action throughout the night. Javon Evans teaming up with the original El Grande Americano to pick up a win over the team of Rayo and Bravo Americano. Usually, good stuff as always. Solid effort by Evans. Fun to watch. Javon Evans, really fun to watch. I'm enjoying the Americanos angle right now because it's when you really stop and think about it, it easily bleeds into the stuff that's going on with the AAA promotion, right? But then also at the same time, it's also bleeding into the main shows, which is good. And you mark my words, I honestly believe going into WrestleMania, there's going to be a mask versus mask match. I really believe that's what's going to be on the cards and everything. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see Chad Gable unmasked, man. Because he's kind of giving me Thor vibes with the beard that he's pushing. Specifically, he's reminding me of, I can't think of his I can't think of his name right now, but if you know your comic books, you know that Thor was once bonded to a human. I'm showing my age here when I refer to the older comics and everything of Thor. But there was a human that Thor was attached to. I can't think of the human's name right now. I'm drawing a blank, but eventually the human was able to not only separate from Thor, but there was something that had went down where I don't know if Thor was like unavailable for a certain period of time, but the human was able to tap into the powers of Asgard, and he was the new Thor for a hot little bit. And then when Thor did come back, and he pretty much took back his hammer and like all that other stuff. I don't know if it was Odin's call or what, but they basically were like, okay, human, like you represented yourself. You know, when your world needed you the most, you really stepped up to the plate and everything. Like, it's only fair that you continue to have the power of Odin and you continue to have the power of Asgard. So he went on to become Thunderstrike, if I'm not mistaken. So Chad Gable's current beard, it's kind of reminding me of the Thunderstrike character there from Marvel and all that. It's pretty badass. I'm telling you, like, if you have not seen any of Chad Gable's pictures, like right before he went back to the WWE, you got to look him up because dude is just what you see on camera really does not do it justice. Dude is just on a whole another level, totally freaking ripped, and I'm loving it. Great little video package of Obafemi talking about how people fear change, but basically change is inevitable. You either adapt or perish. Talks about how for a long time people have been talking about change, but change is actually here. Basically, he is that change. Loved it. Loved it. Great stuff from Obafemi. Love that. And the guy still has not made his decision yet as far as which brand he's going to be coming to. Elsewhere, Finn Balor was giving himself a little bit of a pity party when Dominic Mysterio and the rest of the Judgment Day pretty much were telling him, hey, look, man, you really sure you want to be going after CM Punk and this World Championship? Like, you had your opportunity a couple of weeks ago, and now Punk is moving on to WrestleMania. He's going to be facing Roman Reigns. Maybe you should just dial it back and stay in your lane. And his lane is essentially, at least this is what Dominic Mysterio was telling him, just go for the tag titles. Just chill, mellow out long enough as JD's right around the corner from coming back. And then JD and Finn can go for some tag titles. Fighting words for Finn Balor. He did not appreciate that, to the point he says to Dominic, like, dude, how could you say that to me? I thought we were family and family is supposed to stick together and all that. Like, way to have my fucking back. And Dominic's like, but we are family. So it's nice to continue to see the seeds being planted in here, huh? It really is, because it further adds more fuel to the fire of what eventually may be coming as far as Finn Balor getting kicked out of Judgment Day. Because and I really hope you all have been stringing this together very well here all these months, because it seemed as though every single time Dominic Mysterio was in some type of a position with the Intercontinental title and the AAA championship, or everything else that was going on, he always was trying to have JD and or Finn do damage control, clean up his mess that he got himself in. And then we saw that when it counted most, Dom was not there in their respective corner. Now JD would call Dom out on the bullshit. Finn, to his credit, would call Dom out on the bullshit. Dom was always able to finesse JD just enough he could have it his way. Finn, he usually had to work twice as hard. But isn't it interesting what we got going on here? We got Liv, who essentially is gunning for a women's championship. Dom, right, as usual. Raquel Rodriguez, definitely going to be a future champion someday. No Roxanne Perez on this show, by the way, for those of you curious. No Roxanne Perez cameo from what I remember. But, it's interesting because Finn Balor fought long and hard when he kicked out Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest to essentially make Judgment Day be allegedly all about the team. It's a team effort. It's not about individuals. But under that same breath, he ultimately made Judgment Day, pretty much be about him until Liv came into the mix. And then ultimately Roxanne came into the mix, but Roxanne wanted to be more like, hey, look, I know my worth. This is what I can bring. We benefit from me being in the group. And eventually she won everybody over. But to see this Finn Balor that's now kind of like, what the fuck? It really goes up against what Punk had said to Balor a couple of weeks ago, which is you got to figure out what your path is going to be. What's your legacy? You going to continue to be part of this whole Judgment Day bullshit, or are you going to ride out there and fly solo, like you're supposed to, right? So it's kind of interesting. CM Punk was supposed to have a one-on-one interview in the ring with Michael Cole. Didn't happen as Finn Balor came out there demanding for a shot at CM Punk's championship. Punk coming out, ready to throw it down right then and there. Adam Pearce wanting these guys to have nothing to do with each other, at least on this night. Punk telling Pearce, yo, I got stroke as the champion. You need to start bending to my demands as champion because I'm pretty much running this whole shebang. Pearce reluctantly went on ahead, made it happen. So he had Elimination Chamber. We're going to get Punk defending the championship against Finn Balor. Some of you guys may be curious, what about that Roman Reigns? Well, Roman Reigns nowhere in the house for tonight. Furthermore, not even a mention of Roman Reigns, at least not directly. Maybe you can look at it as indirectly, because shortly after Finn Balor got what he wanted, Michael Cole says to CM Punk, hey, I just got to ask you, what are you thinking? How can you do this with the stakes so high at WrestleMania? This big main event, box office smashing of a match that you got with Roman Reigns. How can you just risk all of that to do this match against Finn Balor? Punk looks at Michael Cole and then tells him straight up, he's not jeopardizing anything. If anything, he's actually building. He's chasing greatness, and that he's been a fighting champion to any and every single person he feels deserves an opportunity. He wants to continue to be that fighting and deserving champion. That's why he's been doing what he's been doing virtually every single Monday night since he's been the champion and everything. Talks about how 10 years ago he held the title for 434 days, and he wants to be 1% better every day. He admits that he is brave enough to know that without risk, there's no reward. He loves the people, and he's humble enough to know it can end any night, anytime, in any city. But he's also confident enough to know that that shit ain't going to be happening. So he does touch upon Roman briefly, saying he believes that the guy doesn't hate him, but he hates that he knows that he can't do a damn thing to stop it, as he's pretty sure that come the end of their match, it's going to be his hand that'll be raised to and still World Heavyweight Champion. We shall see. So, yeah, that. Just trying to think if there was anything else from tonight's Monday Night Raw. We went over the triple threat qualifier for the women. Jimmy and Jey Uso, they successfully retained their tag titles against Alpha Academy, Akira Tozawa and Otis. Fun little matchup. I wish it would have been a little bit longer. Nice, good tag team chemistry here in this one. Post-match, Usos talking about what's next with Byron Saxton, and it's all about defending those tag titles, at WrestleMania, but Jimmy Uso has said to Jay, yo, you need to get out there, do your thing, go qualify for the Elimination Chamber. And afterwards, see if you can punch that ticket to WrestleMania, get a shot for the world title, get back on top. So if you're paying attention to the Usos story arc, particularly, here's Jimmy, once again, trying to build up that confidence of his brother Jay. I love it. And you just can't help but wonder, like, this is good, but is there going to be a backlash to this? And it's funny that I mentioned backlash, considering we got WrestleMania backlash. It's down the pipeline, essentially, right? You just can't help but wonder, all this building up that you're doing for Jay, get ready for the heartache yet again. But is Jay's head, when the cloud, the dust and everything, when it's all settled, is Jay going to be in a really good place? Or is he going to be in his feelings in a bad, bad way that Jimmy may want to stay clear? I still believe Jay's going to be turning on Jimmy. I still believe they're just taking the scenic route right now. But other than that, I don't think I'm missing anything else. I believe that pretty much was everything from tonight's WWE RAW in Cleveland when it was all said and done. So overall for the show, nice development there going towards the Elimination Chamber. Love the touch that they added there with AJ Lee returning, which, by the way, as far as next week Raw goes, she's going to be on that one as well. I did take down some notes. So on top of AJ returning next week, we're also going to see Bayley versus Asuka versus Nattie, triple threat match, Elimination Chamber qualifier. And then for the men's, we're going to see Javon Evans take on Dirty Dom and Gunther, triple threat right there, men's Elimination Chamber. Roman Reigns, not on this show, loosely mentioned. Here's how it's looking for Roman Reigns. Shout out to you guys in the United States. You're thinking about catching a Monday Night Raw. Roman will not be appearing again, and this is officially from WWE's social media outlets. Roman will not be appearing again until March 2nd, Indianapolis. And then from there, March 16th, San Antonio, Texas. From there, March 23rd in Boston, Massachusetts. Week after that, March 30th, New York, New York. And then a little bit of a break, as Roman won't be back until April 13th, Sacramento, California. So that is what's going on with Roman Reigns there. Now, let's go to the poll. See what you guys had thought about this week's Raw. I was getting ready to talk about Bron Breakker and his injury, but I do want to see what's up with you guys and our polling results over on Twitter at the RCWR show. See how you guys voted there. You got 4 options: skipping it, middle of the road, thumbs up, thumbs down. So far, 44% of you are giving this week's Raw in Cleveland middle of the road rating, while top dog, 56% of you are saying thumbs up of the show. Appreciate you guys that have voted. You have not voted, keep it rocking, keep it rolling, keep on voting. Saw the Super Bowl. My God, that felt like a snoozer of a game, did it not, people? My God, now some people may have liked it. They may have liked the fact that, good low scoring game, all about the defense. But I mean, if you were the Patriots and, you go into the third quarter and it's still like 12-0. And it's like, are you guys going to wake up at all today? Like, goddamn, right? Like, it was so bad. I said to my wife, yeah, let's just watch something else. Because we didn't even make it into halftime. I think we were about, actually, correction. No, I'm remembering it right. We had like about maybe 3 minutes to go or 4 minutes to go until the half was over. And then I just said to the wifey, let's just see what else is on, because like this game is boring. Don't even get me started on the commercials. The commercials was the weakest set of commercials that I've seen in a long time. And I remember I've worked in the market research field. So, that ties into organizing, moderating focus groups, and covering all things TV, entertainment, gadgets, foods, drinks, like you name it. And for me, the commercials this year, they just sucked. You notice the main thing that all of the commercials like virtually had in common? They all used celebrities. They all had major celebrities to sell their fucking products. It was ridiculous. If I had to go, you know what? This commercial was actually really, really good. Goodwill Duncan. I love seeing all the cameos by stars of yesteryear. That was a nice little touch. That commercial, like legit, that kicked ass. I also enjoyed the Lay's commercial where the father and his daughter, they pretty much were having flashbacks to when the father, I guess, first started on the farm planting potatoes, and how she would be out there on the fields working with him, and showed them aging through the years. And basically, the father had handed the keys to the farm to the daughter, like, because he was retiring. I thought that was a really nice freaking commercial. I wasn't sure exactly where they were going, because I thought maybe it was going to be some type of a, financial investment joint or whatever. But excuse me, that was a nice commercial. The all girls commercial for Dove, that actually was rather decent. But I like, other than that, everything else just sucked. Polled you guys, wanted to know what you thought about the commercials, and I wanted to know what you guys had thought about Bad Bunny. I did not watch Bad Bunny's performance, but I heard that he brought in like 133 million viewers, which essentially crushed what Michael Jackson did for his halftime shows. So, like, to be able to crush, that's a big deal. That is a big deal. So, congratulations to Bad Bunny for that. Appreciate Bad Bunny's fans. Just me personally, it's nothing personal, y'all, but I don't care for Bad Bunny's music. That doesn't mean I'm out of touch. That doesn't mean that I don't have good taste. Like, not everybody likes Metallica. Not everybody likes Megadeth. Not everybody likes A Tribe Called Quest. Not everybody likes Billie Eilish, right? Not everybody likes Lady Gaga. Like, it doesn't mean we suck, that, we don't know a good thing if it bit us on the ass. It just, everybody's different, right? But to hear that he had did that, like, that's some head turning awesome shit and everything. Did poll you guys. So first thing I wanted to know was about the commercials. And here's where we are right now. We got a tie at 46% and then a tie at 4%. So a little bit all over the place. Half of you guys were like, yo, I've been skipping the commercials with my remote. And then the other half of you were like, 4% of you were like, I'm loving them. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. 46% of you said you're not even paying attention to the commercials. And then 46% of you, so the other half of you, had said, yeah, they not impressive. So what's really jumping out to me the most is the fact that 4% only said loving the commercials, but that the overwhelming 46 there, yeah, not impressive. That's very concerning. That's very concerning, especially when you look at that other half that said, yeah, I'm not even paying attention to the commercials. That lets you know that the processing message that they were trying to stick to the viewer, like it wasn't sticking at all, wasn't registering at all. Meanwhile, for Bad Bunny, which we got like almost 100 votes on this, so shout out to everybody that had cast their votes. Final results of this. 8% of you guys said that you skipped Bad Bunny. By the way, Kid Rock and them trying to do what they were doing, and apparently the lip syncing was just utterly fucking ridiculously bad, and all that other, like, whatever, man. But anyway, 8% of you has skipped Bad Bunny's performance. I definitely was part of that 8%. I ended up with the wifey finding something on PBS that was chronicling the career of Chuck Berry. It's a really good little documentary. I highly recommend it. Some good stuff. Meanwhile, 14% of you said, meh, seen better. 19% of you said, just meh. And 59% of you said you loved Bad Bunny's halftime performance. So I appreciate you guys that have voted. But yeah, it was, I was out telling some of my friends and family. I definitely was telling wifey about it last night. I said, in all my years that I've been watching football, and some of my earliest, fondest memories of football, go back when I was like just a 4-year-old kid growing up in Chicago watching my Bears. This had to been like one of those years in a long time, long, 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 long time, probably like the second or third time in my lifespan where I've gone, yeah, I don't care about the game this year. I really don't. I really don't care about the commercials. I hope I'm wowed. I hope something really jumps out and sticks out at me and kind of has me talking the next day. Because, that's the real cool part is when you're able to go to school the next day or you will go to work the next day, or maybe you're hitting up your friends and family on the phone or social media and you're like, yo, how about this commercial? Yo, how about, and like, there was none of that residue whatsoever. None of that this year. So hopefully we can kind of get back to that good feeling and everything. But had to show love to the Super Bowl results there. So very telling tell in itself. Love the fact that Green Day was pretty much opening things up for Super Bowl weekend. I love me some Green Day. Matter of fact, I think they got a new album. If it's not already out, it's getting ready to drop. There's a couple of new albums that's out right now. I still gotta listen and review the new Megadeth album. It's their final album, as Dave Mustaine has said he's pretty much going to be hanging it up. Jill Scott got a new album that's just dropped. I definitely need to listen to that. I love me some Jill Scott. I got all her shit. Love, love, love me some Jill Scott. Let's talk Bron Breakker. Like I said earlier, I was talking to a friend of mine that pretty much knows a person that studies sports medicine and knows a great deal about injuries and all that other good stuff. And yeah, I talked to him about what's going on with Bron Breakker as they opened up the show WWE Raw tonight. It opened up with Michael Cole and Corey Graves letting us know that Bron Breakker is out indefinitely, and basically he you hear this injury and you just go, oh man, that sounds really, really bad. But then you're like, so what's really going on here? So basically he has a hernia. He has what is known as a sports hernia. Now when you hear that, it's kind of like, okay, so is it a true hernia? Like, what exactly is going on here? And when I was telling my friend all the information that I had, found out up to that point, you know, pretty much it was like, okay, so this is what's up. Like, this is what you can expect. So, legit, Bron Breakker underwent surgery for a hernia, and it's being said he is out of action indefinitely. Now, the recovery timeline for this, it could be anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. It could even be up to 12 weeks. It really just depends on the whole healing process and all of that. So, what this is about in a nutshell, and I had to jot down notes for this one. It's basically a strain, a tear, a weakening of the muscles, tendons, or connective tissue in the lower abdomen or groin. And most commonly, where the abdominal muscles attach to the pelvis. So the medical term you're going to often hear for it, it's called a athletic pubagilla. Again, pubagilla. All right. And then how it usually happens it can happen during explosive moments. So you think about that spear that Braun likes to stay doing. Pretty badass, pretty explosive when he does it, right? But when you're watching him do those moves and all of that other stuff, think about this. This can occur when there's twisting involved, cutting, sudden direction changes, sprinting, kicking. Now, the story that WWE is putting out there, they're saying the guy was just working out and that's how he pulled it. Like, I don't know if that's legit or not. Like, we need to hear Bron Breakker in his own words what had happened, right? We need to hear it in his own words. But the pain gets worse with running, twisting, coughing, sneezing, sit-ups. The pain can improve with rest, but then it can come right back. And it can be a sharp pain and everything. What makes this very is it's an invisible bulge. So it can be confusing as far as the diagnosis of it. X-rays often show nothing. MRIs as a result is needed. The pain overlaps with hip flexor strains, groin pulls, and core muscle injuries. So the fact that you're hearing that Breakker got surgery for this, usually if no surgery is required, then you're talking about obviously rest, physical therapy, some form of anti-inflammatory treatment, right? And that can basically work. But then when you're talking about surgical repair, which, believe it or not, for this specific type of injury, it is most common. When the surgery happens, it's basically going to reinforce that weakened tissue. Sometimes mesh will be used in the surgery process. And it's a high success rate of recovery for athletes. It's nothing that is, oh man, they're never going to be the same, or they're only going to be half of what no, they will be right back to how they were. So if they get surgery, light activity, they can do light activity in about 4 weeks. As far as a full return, that is usually anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks. Most pros that get the surgery, they come back stronger and they have very few recurrences. So it's looking really good for Bron Breakker when it's all said and done. So you don't need a wrestling website to tell you, oh, WWE is being most hopeful that Bron Breakker will be back in time for WrestleMania. You don't need a wrestling website to tell you that. All the information that I just gave you right here and now, what you need to be saying to yourself is, okay, so with what Lee just told me, an Elimination Chamber is happening on February 28th. And then WrestleMania 42 is happening April 18th through the 19th. Okay, and today is only February 9th. Okay, so we're essentially looking at like 3.5 months for a Braun Strowman recovery. Yeah, that's enough time, if he doesn't overshoot it and the recovery is going superbly well, ahead of schedule and all that. Like, yeah, he can be back in time for WrestleMania, right? So, like, would I love it if the dude can come back in time for WrestleMania? Yes, 1,000%. But my whole thing is, man, I don't want you at 90%. I don't even want you at 100%. I want you at 120%, right? So just come back when you are definitely. But is he such a very valuable piece right now? Yeah, because definitely he was part of that road to WrestleMania plan, and now they've had to call some audibles in the interim and all that. So that's a huge piece to be losing on the way to WrestleMania and all that. So I'm pulling for Braun, but first and foremost, I just want the guy to be fully recovered, and then we can kind of go from there. So Braun, thinking about you, bud. I hope you have a speedy and a healthy recovery. The Sandman, for you hardcore ECW fans. Got some interesting news for you guys. This may give you all a chuckle. Joey Janela announced that the Sandman is going to be facing his final opponent at Joey Janela's Spring Break 10 WrestleMania weekend. And get this, the final opponent is going to be none other than, get ready for it, the Invisible Man. You heard me right, the Invisible Man. That's not the one I wanted. I'll take that one. But the one I was really thinking about, I think it's this one. Yeah. The Invisible Man. I'm not, I just wanted to share the info with you. Sandman taking on the Invisible Man. That's all I got for you, man. Seriously, that's all I got for you. I legit heard that, and I just couldn't help but go, you got to be shitting me. But you know what? I hope that he's getting paid a shit ton of money. That Sandman, God bless him. Like, seriously, I hope he's getting paid serious money. I got something a little bit more serious I want to pass along to you guys. It's a twofer. The first one that I want to share with you guys, referee Daphne. I got some interesting news in regards to her, and when I saw this, I said, "Damn, well, this just really, really sucks." I hope that everything, it gets up and up on the rebound for her, because there is a GoFundMe that is underway right now. And I love, hang on here. I'm getting a text message from the wifey. She's asking me a question here. Yeah. Yes. This is important. I have to answer this. This is important. Okay. Yes, I'm good. Okay. So Daphne LaShawn, she launched a GoFundMe, as apparently, this was really, when I saw this over the weekend, I was devastated hearing this. And I wanted to share this with you guys. She launched a GoFundMe following a devastating family tragedy, as she shared on social media that she lost multiple family members in a house fire, and that surviving relatives, which included children, have been displaced and are beginning the difficult process of rebuilding. So I want you guys to go out of your way and donate what you can. And if you're in a position where financially it's a little bit rough for you right now and you're not able to give, at least share the link on your social media feeds with your respected networks. Okay, do that. I will be donating to these guys. I'm not just saying that. I will be donating to these guys. Right now, they have raised $140,000+ Their goal is to reach 160,000. So that is good to hear, that they're less than 20,000 away from reaching their goal. But to hear that, it always breaks my heart, especially like anytime during the year. But if you were to ask me, like, what really just breaks my heart is when a family gets displaced either right before the holidays or when it's just after the holidays, but we are dealing with winter. Okay. And like, depending on where you live, you know, you may have just experienced a significant snowstorm and everything. And to be in this position where you're now displaced and you're trying to figure out where you're going to be staying. Yeah. You know, like you got the hotel for the next little bit and everything, but it's kind of one of those, it's kind of one of those, yeah, but where exactly that hotel, the Salvation Army and other people, they're only going to be able to do but so much, right? They're only going to be able to do so much, but for so long that ultimately it's like, no, like legit, where are you going to live? So I don't wish that on my worst enemy. To hear shit like this is just, it's sad. So if you guys are able to, definitely go out of your way and donate. All right. Seriously. And if you cannot donate, you don't have the money to donate, you got the next best thing. Just share that GoFundMe link with everybody on social media. And I'll tell you what, if you end up donating because you were listening to me through the show, I'll do you guys one. If you end up donating, quietly email me the RCWR show at gmail.com. Make sure you put the THE in there. Email me there. Let me know how much you donated. And even after I've made my initial donation, if I can somehow match what you did, I will match it. So if you end up emailing me and you say, Lee, I had listened to the show and I had donated, $20, like that was all I could do, then I will say, okay, I've already donated X amount. I'll go ahead and I'll donate, that $20 you did, I'll match you, right? If you put an amount out there that I'm not able to match, I will definitely be honest with you and let you know that. But I will definitely still come out of my pocket again and donate. And I think what I will do is just keep a tally of like how much RCWR show listeners, like grand total, essentially contributed to Daphne and everything. By the way, I see what everybody is kind of saying in the chat. And like, I shouldn't have to say this, but I will. I appreciate any and everybody that drops in and they want to leave a comment. But if you're expecting me to react to your comments, as especially like when I'm talking about something as serious as what happened with referee Daphne, there's kind of like a time and a place. So don't expect me to just drop what I'm doing when I'm talking about something pretty serious and heavy and react to your comments. If anything, if you kind of don't know the pattern by now, when it's fitting, I'll definitely show love and I'll mention your comment, like later on in the show, worst case scenario, right? That's the worst case scenario. So I just wanted to say that because I saw some interesting side chatter that was going on that had like nothing to do with the seriousness that we were talking about here just now. And sometimes, guys, girls, you just got to read the room. And it's kind of one of those when you hear that there's something really serious that's being talked about, because we can't all talk about, God, Cody Rhodes needs to be the WWE champion again, and he needs to have the belt for like another 3 years. Or, my God, there's a new Pokemon game that's getting ready to come out. Like, we can't all just, not when we're talking about something serious. Like, real life gets in the way, people. Real life at times needs to be talked about. I can't stress that enough. Just like what happened with Three Doors Down, the lead singer. This broke my heart when I fucking heard about this. My wife over the weekend, she's like, did you ever fuck with the band Three Doors Down? Because she knows I'm into all different types of music, especially when it comes to my rock and metal. And she's like, did you ever mess with the band Three Doors Down? And I said, Yeah. I remember that band. I said there was a couple of songs that I had liked of theirs. Why? Well, the lead singer died. I said, shit. I think that dude's a couple of years older than me. What the fuck did he die of? She's like, I don't know, but yeah, he died. Apparently, he was 47. I'm going, fuck me. I'm like, I just celebrated 45 not long ago, so it's like, Jesus, babe, can you be any more fucking depressing? You know, um, very heartbreaking to hear that apparently he was diagnosed last year with stage 4 clear cell renal cell uh, carcinoma, which, when you break it all down, basically kidney cancer. And it eventually spread, that cancer, it eventually spread to his lungs. So there was a planned summer tour for last year that ultimately got canceled. Well, no shit, it would be canceled. That's very unfortunate. And he passed away just a couple of days ago, February 7th. He passed away at the age of 47. So that is just, oh, my heart just aches for his friends, his family, his colleagues. That is just so unfortunate. It really, really is. And 47, and I need people to understand, because I don't want people going, oh, well, what was his eating lifestyle? Was he a fat fuck or something? Or, no, nothing of that nature. When you see the pictures of the Three Doors Down lead singer, this was a healthy looking dude. This was a skinny dude. He looked like maybe he would enjoy himself a drink from time to time. Um, maybe splurge here and there on a nice good cheat meal or whatever, but you would not go, oh wow, this dude had some form of cancer, or you would go, like, it's just a constant reminder that when it comes to these forms of cancer, like, you can do all the push-ups in the world, you can eat all the Cheerios in the world, like, when your number is up, your number is up. But early detection, that's what it's all about. Early detection is key. And I'm not telling you guys something that I'm not practicing. As soon as I turned 45, the very first thing that I did, I got in contact with my health provider and I said, look, I turned 45 and I'm trying to stay on top of my health, because I know in my family, uh, cancer runs pretty, so I want to make sure that early detection, I'm on top of it, because that's the real key, is early detection. And so I got the blood work. I got to go in for the blood work. I got the at home kit that they want me to do. So I'll be doing that in the next week, if not sooner. But I'm not telling you something I'm not preaching myself, like, especially for fellow men out there. There's a big stigma that we all have where it's like, ain't nobody gonna be putting anything up my butt. Ain't nobody, and it's like, yeah, well, you know what? If it means that you're gonna save yourself and extend your life by an extra 20 years or more, you know, put that machismo bullshit to the side, and your family's gonna thank you later when it's all said and done. So, but shout out to the friends, family, colleagues there of Brad Arnold, lead singer of Three Doors Down. Very, very sad when I had heard that news. A little bit of a lighter note. Kelly Kincaid, somebody who I have been a fan of, going as far back to her days in Ring of Honor. And this was way before Tony Khan had stepped in and acquired the promotion and everything. She revealed that WWE decided they would not be renewing her contract. So if you've been watching enough NXT, you know she's mainly been running around as a backstage interviewer and all that. She revealed that as of February 14th, so Valentine's Day weekend. What a fucked up. Couldn't we change the date? Did we really have to let the last day of her contract with WWE fall on Valentine's Day? What kind of sick, twisted humor is that? Seriously, that that is just. Couldn't you make it the 15th? Couldn't you make it the 16th? Jesus Christ. Anyway, February 14th, she's no longer going to be employed with the WWE, and she indicated on social media that the company decided they did not want to renew her contract. So there was an option to renew. They're not going to pick it up. So February 14th, that is going to be it for her. That's really, really tough. It really is, because she is an amazing backstage interviewer. And just, I will even go a step further. And I know a lot of people probably aren't going to care about Kelly Kincaid and all of that, but I do. And that's why I'm trying to give her flowers now, is because she is so much more than a backstage interviewer. When it comes to all things media production, this woman knows her shit. She knows enough that if you are giving her somebody that's kind of green behind the ears of a talent, and they don't know diddly squat about cutting a promo, they don't know about the bullet points and all of that other stuff, she knows how to prep them. Okay, she knows how to feed them the right lines. She knows how to do any and everything to get them as comfortable as possible and get what is commanded out of them for that little backstage thing. Okay, and then also from a media production standpoint, she knows enough as far as, all right, setting up the tripod, setting up the cameras, mic stuff and all of that. She is hella talented. And it just amazes me. I was so happy when it was first announced that she was coming to WWE, when she made the announcement that, hey, dream come true, going to WWE. And I wasn't exactly expecting her to go down the wrestler path. I thought, if anything, maybe it was going to take a little bit longer, but if anything, I felt she was going to have more of an impact behind the scenes from a production standpoint. But for all intents and purposes, it just kind of seems they just had her really relegated to the backstage role. Now, not for nothing, but she joined the WWE just a couple of years ago. She joined them in 2022, and she was a in-ring performer, like in general, from I think 2017, maybe 2018. She was definitely part of the inaugural ROH Women's World Championship tournament, if you guys recall. Ultimately lost to Roxanne Perez. So, she was doing a little something, there for a hot minute and all of that. And the timing of this, it just sucks, because you think about her significant other, which is Elton Prince, and he's currently sidelined with an injury. Because remember, he just had to do neck fusion surgery. So they have a child together. Last I checked, he is nowhere close to 100% and back on our TVs just yet. So the timing of this just absolutely fucking sucks. So now, instead of two incomes, now it's mainly about one income. Sucks. Really, really sucks. But she's going to be okay. She is going to be okay, because for what she is able to offer in that backstage capacity that I just kind of highlighted there, with everything that she knows how to do, especially from a podcasting standpoint. Homegirl definitely knows her shit, from a podcasting, gadgets and, production and all that other stuff. She's going to be a great addition, whether it's TNA, MLW, if they're trying to expand a bit more. Hell, if Tony Khan is feeling a little nostalgic and, can appreciate somebody like a Kelly Kincaid, she's going to have some options. She's not going to be sidelined that long, but Kelly Kincaid, keep your head up. You definitely are going to rebound in no time. Also, I wanted to touch upon this because I was supposed to talk about this with Tams over the weekend, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it, unfortunately. And that is the fact that Ric Flair is talking about how he came close to wrestling, apparently. We don't even need to be long-winded about this one. But it's nice to see that Ric Flair has pretty much said, nah, I'm good. I'm not wrestling again. So Ric Flair did a virtual signing with KNS, and he revealed that a offer had been put on the table for him to wrestle Ricky Morton. He was thinking about it, but ultimately things didn't fall through because they basically couldn't agree on the money. Now, that got a lot of people talking, including Charlotte Flair, who's basically like, no, hell no. Conrad Thompson, poor Conrad being dragged into it. So on social media, Ric Flair clarified that he would not be wrestling again. He kept it short and sweet, but here's what he said here. He said, first, let me clear something up. I will never wrestle again. I'm heading to Flair Country, Charleston, South Carolina. Get ready. And, that pretty much is it. From there, he's just plugging away at what he's getting ready to do at this meet and greet thing. But that's it in a nutshell. So you hear that and you go, okay, well that's good, because what we watched of you in your last match, which I ordered on pay-per-view, I'll never forget that. I ordered that damn thing on pay-per-view, and I had everybody that was joining me, I think, in a Discord server, and we all were watching it, and it was just so heartbreaking to see, man. It really was. It was. I don't want to live through that again. I'm telling you that right now. I don't want to live through that again. I'm good. Once was enough. Anything more, and it's kind of like, that's on me. Seriously, that's on me if I'm going to do it again. Shout out to TNA Impact. TNA on AMC. Their viewership is continuing to rise, so that is really good. The episode that they did last Thursday, that pulled in 240,000 viewers. The episode before that did a little bit over 200,000 viewers. So that's nice to see that kind of jump. Remember what I was saying to you guys a couple of weeks back. Normally the pattern is, with any, new show or whatnot, usually after about 5 to 7 weeks is when you really are able to get an understanding of the baseline for your viewership. But usually from that premiere episode, it's expected that you'll see roughly a 5 to almost 15% decrease before you see and get a general idea of what the true baseline is going to be for, okay, so this is what we can expect as the new norm, as this bare minimum is what truly is going to be the fan base, which is basically the hardcore fan base that's going to always represent, they're going to always pop up, and right. So nice to see that that the viewership is there and all that. I love the little twist that they have going on there with Steve Macklin and how he beat the holy crap there out of the TNA champion Santana, just when it was looking like Steve Macklin was going to be bowing out gracefully and everything. I would not be surprised if Daria Ray looks at that fucking fire she saw from Macklin and goes, you know what? I know we got this whole feast and fire crap, but bump that. We're gonna shake it up. I'm not allowing Steve Macklin to go. I'm giving this guy a new contract. The hell with this feast or fire tradition. It's stupid. I'm gonna get rid of it once and for all. Be interesting to see what direction they go in regards to that and everything. Other than that, some interesting news from Soraya, woman formerly known as Paige. She had talked candidly about her time in AEW, talked about how she wasn't too happy with her character, and also talked about how she fell out of love with wrestling. Check this out. She spoke with Freddie Prinze Jr. on his podcast recently. So she stated that she wants to return to wrestling, and that if she does, it'll be she'll be at her best than ever when she does return and all that. She said, I'm taking wrestling so seriously. I lost my passion for it for a second. I kind of fell out of love with it, and it was kind of making me miserable at one point. I feel like the company I was in, I loved being in AEW. I had so much fun, but the character I was doing, I wasn't too happy with, and I wish I could have done certain matches and certain things, and it didn't come to be, and it's fine. It's absolutely fine. That's what was supposed to happen. But yeah, I just kind of fell out of love with it, and so now I'm just like, I need to start training again. I need to get my ass back into shape. I need to be the Paige that I was in NXT, but better. I can do it at 33 still. I still got it. So I started training in January, and I had told people I was going to start doing that months ago, and everyone thought I was just posting it for the Rumble. I was like, no, I've been telling you guys, which she has. I actually follow on social media. She has been stating it for a long time already. I've been telling you guys I've been training in January. I'm doing this. I do want to come back to wrestling. I do want to start getting in the swing of things again. And if I was to come back, I'll be better than you've ever seen me. I can promise you that. I can just tell you honestly, from what I was seeing of Soraya, and I think I even talked about this at certain points during my brief AEW Dynamite, but my main AEW Rampage coverage for the 401 Mania site a couple of years back, I was noticing that it came off as if Soraya was just phoning it in. You know, there would be times where she just seemed so disengaged, disinterested, like her heart really wasn't into it. You know, I felt like I wasn't getting 100% investment, you know, and I don't know if she just kind of looked at it as a means to an end, make some quick money, and then just do what she needed to do. I know one thing when it came to some of the matches that she was involved in, I let it be no secret, yo, sloppy, you know, this looked kind of reckless. I remember a couple of matches where I pointed out, yo, you know, she could have seriously injured herself and her opponent. What the hell was going on there? I remember some of her matches were so bad that fans were booing, which is like a rarity, especially in AEW, because like when you're in AEW, you can do no wrong. But I remember she was even getting some boos there from the fans and all that. And I didn't particularly care for when fans were trying to make fun of her size. Like, how dare she mature? How dare she age in the most graceful way before your very eyes? Some people had the nerve to say she looked hideous because she's aging. But she's aging, and what you were watching, let me break it down for you. What these people were really saying is, oh, we kind of like that young, thin body that she had going on in NXT. How dare she grow into her mature woman body? How dare she grow into that? That just looks disgusting. That's what legit. That's what people were saying. And I'm going, nah, man, she's like in the best shape of, at that point, I thought she was in the best shape and everything. At the same time, though, I knew with that amount of size, mass that she had on her body, I knew she couldn't quite do the same level of stuff that she was doing when we were seeing her in WWE, right? Because with that definitely comes a decrease in speed. So she's going to have to adapt accordingly. But we never saw her make that full transition and everything. And if you were to just, now that there's enough content out there of her running AEW, if you were to just from day one see how it was when she popped up and just look at that entire run, you will definitely go, yeah, something just seems like it's not clicking. Like there's no light. I mean, she's there, but it just really seems like she's going with the flow. And maybe at a later date, she'll be able, when she's comfortable enough, she'll be able to speak more on it. I just can't help but wonder if things fell apart from a creative standpoint where she came in and she had all these ideas for herself and rivalries and angles and all that, and she got shot down ultimately by Tony Khan or what. I'm very, very curious. But I've always been a firm believer in, if your head and heart is not into it, it's only going to be a matter of time before you do damage to yourself and your dance partner, right? Whoever you're working with. Like, so before any of that happens, you want to just go on ahead and back away from it. Take yourself out of the picture and go do what you need to do to get yourself better and everything. I know there's a decent amount of people that are looking at what's going on there with Saraya, and they would love to see her return to WWE. They would love to see her. And look, I think when it's all said and done, we will ultimately see her back in wrestling. I don't know if it's going to be in WWE, but I can definitely see her ultimately returning to wrestling. And she's definitely, I feel, going to make some heads turn. My best advice to Saraya right now, don't be so quick to have WWE put a ring on it. Go out there and first and foremost prove to yourself that, you know what, not only can I still do this, but I can do this at the highest level, everything that you just laid out. So go out there and prove it to yourself. Because I tell you what, man, there's no better feeling than in the world than, and I may not be able to relate to this from a wrestling standpoint, but I can relate to it from a real life standpoint, which is there's no better feeling in the world than when you have companies and or organizations that are coming to you and they're going, hey, we want to work with you. We've seen your work and, we think you'd be a great addition. There's no better feeling in the world than that. So hopefully that's what'll happen with her, and she'll be testing out some of the independents and all that. Pull a Matt Cardona. Just be a journey woman. Just pull a Matt Cardona and kind of take it from there. Beyond that, while we're talking about women and women's wrestling, Rain. Oh, got a little disconnected there. I don't know what happened there. I was watching the YouTube streams that was just now, and I saw that we got brief disconnect for a couple of seconds. Not sure what that was about. While we're talking about women and women's wrestling, got an interesting signing. I don't know much about this person, but from some of the stuff that I saw online, she seems like a pretty cool badass. But apparently, a woman by the name of Rain Laverkson. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that last name right. If I'm butchering that, you guys got to let me know. She's a 4-year wrestler out of the UK, and allegedly she is believed to have signed with WWE. This is according to a report there by the good folks over at Fightful. So take that news for what it's worth, but If that is the case, just with the brief little bit of stuff that I've seen on her online, that's a really good grab there for the WWE. So look her up. The last name is spelled. So the first name is spelled Rayne, and the last name is spelled Leverkusen. Leverkusen. Rain Leverkusen. There you go. I think I got it a little bit better that time. Hey, it's late at night at the time we're doing the show. I'm getting ready to wind it down though. It's all good. Beyond that, nothing else wrestling wise to talk about. Although I do remember seeing something in regards to Kevin Nash. Chelsea Green apparently has a ankle sprain. I'm not sure how long that's gonna have her be sidelined, but definitely wishing her a speedy recovery there. Unfortunate what's going on there. But Kevin Nash recently had commented on why his 2011 match with CM Punk didn't happen. He talked about it on his Click This podcast. And he pretty much admitted like what most of us already knew, but I just wanted to kind of touch upon it again because I remember this. We were actually on the air when this had happened too, by the way. The whole stuff between CM Punk, Triple H, Kevin Nash, man, what a great magical run that all was with the WWE product back then. But according to Nash, an off-script comment made by Punk regarding Stephanie McMahon during a promo segment infuriated Triple H. And Nash stated that Triple H was so heated that he decided to take the match himself. Paul came back. This is a direct quote. Paul came back and basically said, "You're not wrestling Punk. I am. I'm beating that motherfucker." He was that hot, Nash recalled. Despite the intense heat at the time, Nash noted how impressive it is that the two have since mended their relationship to work together again in the WWE. So, so we all kind of, there's really nothing new there, but it's nice to hear Kevin Nash officially, hey, here's what had went down. Right. And I mean, it makes sense the timeline wise, because I remember when all of that was going on. I mean, Triple H trying to be like, hey, Punk, I didn't know that Kevin Nash was going to do what he was going to do. I didn't know any of that. And Nash is like, you sure you want to play that game, Hunter? Because I got the text messages right here, man. And, just the way Punk just kept owning Kevin Nash on the mic week after week, and the way it kind of seemed like this story arc was going, you were just under the impression, when Nash finally gets his hands on Punk, he is just going to destroy the living shit out of this dude. Like, make no mistake about it. And so I remember way back then just anticipating it and all of that. And it didn't even look, the infamous promo where Punk was like, OMG, Kevin Nash is still alive, LOL, like that whole thing, knees clicking and all of that. I just thought, okay, we're adding more fuel to the fire for when these two are going to eventually have their match. And Nash is just going to destroy the shit out of Punk. Like, tell he's just going to destroy him. But then the more and more Punk started really laying in the Triple H, I'm going, even I went way back then, even I was going, man, some of this just kind of feels a little bit below the belt. Then when they pulled the audible there and it was Triple H wrestling Punk and not Nash, I immediately said, yeah, get the shovel ready. Get that King of Kings shovel ready, because Punk ain't beating Triple H. And sure enough, we went to that respected pay-per-view, And you thought maybe like, oh, well, surely we'll get like a Kevin Nash cameo or some shit like that. Nah. Triple H cleanly beat that ass. I mean, it ain't getting no fucking cleaner. That would be a nice little fun watch along that maybe we could do in a couple of weeks. Maybe we can kind of somehow do that as a Patreon exclusive. That way we don't have to worry about any copyright issues and all of that good stuff. That would be kind of nice to go down memory lane revisiting all of that. All right, so on that note, quick programming notes. I will be back with you guys this Thursday for sure. We skipped last Thursday. You guys got to forgive me. I was feeling burned out from the new semester week of classes, but now that I'm in the groove of things, I'm feeling 10 times better. So we're good on that standpoint. I had to pull an audible at the last minute though. My furry daughters, all three of them, they were supposed to be enjoying quality time with the wifey for Tuesday. And so I was going to go to my classes, knowing that, hey, they've got mom to hang out with for the whole day. But my wife had gave me some bad news and said, I unfortunately have to work. I'm like, but it's supposed to be your day off. She's like, yeah, I know, but one of the girls called out. It's like, oh, fuck. Like, so apparently this girl keeps abusing the call out system, and she's been a very big disruptor. So it's kind of like not cool. So, had to do a little bit of an adjustment, on the fly and everything. But, the classes, now that I have the schedule down and I'm kind of getting used to everything, you got to like real quick, especially with the amount of credit hours I'm doing, like you got to adapt real fucking quick. But I was burned out last week. Not to mention, it turns out, I came down, I don't know when. I think I might know, but I'm not really sure. So I don't want to say something that's inaccurate. But one thing that is fact, I had came down with a viral chest infection some time ago. And if you guys that's been longtime listeners, y'all know that same thing happened like a year ago. And I was coughing up blood. Chest scans came back like it was all in the clear. Just if anything, there was a little bit of a noticeable infection. And so I had got some antibiotics to clear it up. So just last night, as a matter of fact, so not, what was that, Sunday night before I went to bed, all of a sudden I just had this whooping cough. It just came from out of nowhere. Hadn't coughed all day, just started coughing. And then I had this weird taste in my mouth, like I feel like spitting. I spit. Next thing you know, there's blood. I said, oh shit. And my wife was like, what's going on? I said, remember how last year? She's like, yeah. I said, well, it's back. So I got some antibiotics to try to help clear that up and everything. I'm bringing all that up because when we were supposed to do Impact Showdown last Thursday, part of the reason was the class schedule, but the other part, I was feeling pretty burned out. And I normally don't feel that burned out, but the fatigue was really, and it's weird because I've been going to bed on time, getting enough sleep and all that, but I was just feeling extra fatigue that was coming on and everything. So taking the medicine that was prescribed to me, because I reached out to my doctor. I was like, yo, here's what's up. It's like, oh, sorry to hear that. Boom, here's your meds. Like, great. So already starting to feel better. So pencil it in this Thursday. Definitely I'm going to be on with you guys right after TNA on AMC is off the air. So we'll be back here Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. For your WWE fans, make sure you set your DVRs. Double check, because SmackDown for the next 2 Fridays is going to be on the Sci-Fi Network due to the Olympics. So, sucks, I know, but nice little adjustment when it's all said and done. I want you guys to be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the RCWR show. Also want to give a shout out to friends of the show, for sure, our sponsors. And hang on here. We might have some interesting breaking news. Let me just see here. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Breaking news. Comedian and actress Catherine O'Hara looks like the cause of death. She'd been battling with rectal cancer. That's what took her out. That is unfortunate. Wow. That is unfortunate. Sucks to hear that. Cancer is a bitch, isn't it? Cancer is a bitch. By the way, I did not mention this at all the past week and a half, but man, if you're like me, it's really sad seeing what's going on with Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie. I really hope that in regards to her mom, I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news or a Debbie Downer, but it's not looking good. But all I can do at this point is just I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm praying for a peaceful resolution. I hope that the moms is still alive. But in most situations like that, that's all I'm gonna say. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed and hoping there. But once again, shout out to longtime listeners. Shout out to friends of the show. Shout out to our sponsors as well. Of course, I got to give a big shout out to our friends over at justmovieposters.com. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And if you're looking for a unique gift that actually lasts, justmovieposters.com has movie posters starting at just $7 to $15. Shipping is extra, a little modest fee. Find the perfect poster for the one you love right now, just in time for Valentine's Day weekend. Also, the RCWR show with Lee Sanders is brought to you in part by Katrina Spiritual Counseling.com. Katrina offers that nice phone chat that is backed by 20 years of experience, where she provides straightforward, no sugarcoating insight into your past, present, future. Great for if you have financial questions, or you need help in regards to relationships, finances. Give her a buzz. Check her out at katrinaspiritualcounseling.com, or you can give her a buzz at 877-275-7562. Once again, 877-275-7562. Got episodes available wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show. You can also follow me throughout social media up there on the YouTube. Show the YouTube channel a lot of love. Been posting some more content, awesome content on there, so go check it out. Also, Facebook. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. Everybody else, if you've been outside, make sure you heart, like, all that good jazz. Helps out a great ton. And until next go around, my pretty babies, wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. See you all next go around. Take care.